Good afternoon or evening, everybody, and welcome back to another weather forecast by Agent Weather Forecast. And this is going to be another update here on Hurricane Sam. I do apologize for not posting yesterday, and let's just say we have a ton to talk about within Hurricane Sam. According to the National Hurricane Center, it is 145 miles an hour as a strong to even becoming very close towards, I guess, Category 5 status here. And in my opinion, I honestly think that Hurricane Sam is a Category 5, and I will state my opinion. And I will say my opinion to my reasoning why I think it's a Category 5 throughout the video here. And I know a lot of other people do believe this is a Category 5, but we have a lot to talk about either way, whether it's Category 4 or Category 5. We are still watching out for this storm to continue to strengthen throughout the day. And as well, we do have a new recon on its way, so we're about to start to get a ton of data throughout the next few hours. But before we get in the video, be sure to subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, and post notification icon. But without further ado, let's get into the forecast. So like I said, we do have a new recon going in within this system. Actually, a pretty big reason towards why a ton of people think this system is actually stronger and actually way stronger than 145 miles an hour is actually a pretty valid reason. I actually agree with them. That's actually another reason why I do think this is actually a Category 5 at this point and not 145 miles an hour. I honestly think this is 160 miles an hour and one of our first out to sea Category 5s ever, basically. So a big factor is the recon, the lack of information from recon. Earlier today, we were going to have a recon flight in the late morning hours, which was going to obviously fly into Sam and gather up information. But that recon flight got canceled. And what that meant, obviously, we had no recon flights last night. And that means we had a huge drought of extremely little information within Sam. And we all know how strong and how overall Sam would intensify and organize just within a strong, really fast time period of only like 6 to 12 hours. It would just go crazy. We've seen it multiple times within its overall life. And with that massive gap within overnight and the morning of recon being canceled, we had up to around 18 hours of no recon data. And the last recon data supported 145 miles an hour last night. And then the overnight hours, we had no recon. And then the morning flight got canceled. And this structure has matured a lot more, and the structural overall just organization and the overall structure and I guess the structure itself, which I'll show you guys in a minute, is just a lot better than yesterday, and everything about it looks better than yesterday. And it's also a big reason I believe if recon, that morning recon went in earlier today, we would actually have a completely different story and actual strength. At least 155 miles an hour would probably most likely be reported on this recon. However, we have a new recon going in within this within the next few hours or so, so we will get a better idea whether it can possibly become a Category 5. But in my opinion, also other meteorologists on what I've seen meteorologists would actually post on Twitter are saying, like, how can we actually trust that this is still only 145 miles an hour? So even other meteorologists, like professional meteorologists, are actually questioning this wind speed itself. But there's a new recon going in right now. Again, we're gonna be seeing within the 18Z, the 20, or actually we're going to be seeing 18Z going on actually tomorrow as well. But we have a new recon basically en route, obviously, as of, let's see here, Sunday, September 26th. Obviously, we have a 27Z as well, likely to go in tomorrow. So we have a lot of recon flights to go in, but there is a new one actually on its way, which I'm about to show you guys. So that should give us a really crucial information that we actually need for this system to support whether it actually is nearing Category 5 strength, or if it's already there, or if it's actually still very similar to what it was yesterday. So here's the overall look now at recon. Of course, it is now flying towards the system of Hurricane Sam, which is basically around right here, basically. So this recon is actually heading there. It is. This is came in flight with an 1825Z, and I believe this is. I think it's flight 43 is what's going in at 18Z, or not 18Z, sorry, at 20Z. And I think there was as well as a flight, obviously, like I said earlier this morning at 1730Z, which was scheduled, I think, for flight 42, which got as well canceled. But this is the 20Z on its way en route towards Larry. So we're going to get some more data from this later on eventually later by the evening hours, because it's going to take a few hours for us to actually transfer this information and get the calculations of this system to determine it is a Category 5 or not. Like I said, that morning recon has been very crucial for this system because its structure has matured a lot more since the last recon, which was a while ago. And obviously, it's not past the 52.5 degree west yet, so that's why kind of we've not had many recons actually fly within the system. But due to its strength, they have actually allowed recon to actually fly out past that degree there. But again, it's going to give us some valuable information. However, even the ADT is actually not supporting a Category 5 as of now either, and I do believe that's probably the big reasoning for why the National Air Center as well is sticking with 145 miles an hour. However, the ADT, actually, the Dovrak technique here has actually gone up since the last update. They now have lower pressure. Actually, they had 942, and now they have basically 939.5. And the overall convection intensity, now they have overall 6.6, which is pretty high as well, now having 130 knots, which I believe is 150-ish miles an hour. So they have it at a higher end Category 4, so they still have it stronger than 145. So there, at least a chance for it to get upgrade to 150 miles an hour. I really doubt the National Air Center will upgrade to a Category 5 based on how conservative they are. But cloud region temp is at negative 70.2 degrees Celsius, and seeing the center temp of up to 19.1 degrees Celsius. So really warm and dry eye there, which is obviously extremely warm there considering it's only 145. This is definitely most likely at least 150, maybe 155, or even possibly 160. But again, the overall raw convective intensity is at 6.7, but the final is actually at 6.6. So this is still a rather intense storm here. And again, ADT supporting around 150 miles an hour. ATCF as well as only supporting a 145 mile an hour system, with it only being 125 knots and 943 millibars. This is a rather old ASCAP pass though, so it is most likely going to be a little bit on the lower end because this storm is kind of peaking. It's been peaking since around I'd say around 1 o'clock is where it's kind of really gotten its act together and probably has its best conditions. And that's why the recon data may be too late. We would have had to have recon fly in around 11 a.m. Eastern to actually get the best chance of information of whether it was a Category 5. But because by the time this recon Flight 43 gets in and gets all the data and gathers all the data, it's most likely going to be kind of stabling off and going through most likely diurnal minimum before preparations of an IWAR replacement cycle. But here's the overall, again, really strong southwesterly, the really tight, obviously, core, concentric IWA, and overall as well, pretty strong layers. Let's now look at the 91, or actually 89 color, and it's just signaling the overall layer of the system. This is like an absolute monster. You see the really strong inflow, strong outflow as well, those scattering and divergent looking cirrus clouds stretching out of that strong upper level anticyclone. But here's the overall layers, the concentric layer we have all the way leading up to this eye wall there. So we're seeing multiple layers of deep convection, and as well obviously warming convection bursts as well, with up to negative 70 plus degrees Celsius, with as well a overall or actually a cooling off convection burst, not warming, a cooling convection burst up to negative 70 plus degrees Celsius, with a warming eye of now up to nearly 90 or up to nearly 20 degrees Celsius positive convection signaling. We are seeing no convection whatsoever, and actually seeing a very warm core within the actual storm itself here, with as well all that really cold convection burst with those really cold cloud tops all around this system right here. But again, really good, obviously strong symmetrical axis within both the overall CDO and as well the overall low circulation. As well, if we look now at color 37, this is also going to signal or just show you the overall really good structure of the system. There you see really deep convection just within the eye wall. There you see as well the outflow kind of just spreading out and kind of branching out of the system. Of course, looking really good though. As well, just see the kind of wavy cirrus clouds really just going within a divergent flow, and of course those cloud tops will be going clockwise. Here's the overall now look at the satellite imagery, and this is a very rare and uncommon type system to see in the EMDR. I mean, it does not matter. This actually looks like a Western Pacific storm. This kind of reminds me of her or Typhoon Gani. It's got kind of a pinhole eye with such a monstrous storm. I mean, this is just typically not something you would see whatsoever in the MDR. Although we've had strong hurricanes like this in the MDR, I don't think we've ever had something like this. I mean, we have never had a Category 5 like this, really pretty far and deep in the MDR. Again, I know it's not Category 5. I know it's not a Category 5 officially, but like I said, in my opinion, based on what we're seeing here within the structure, based on the lack of recon information, and based on the overall structure itself, and what I'm seeing here with the concentric structure, with the symmetrical shape, with the extremely drying and clearing eye still, and this pinhole eye, I really think this is a 160 mile an hour, if not maybe as minimum as 155. But either way, I don't think this is 145. There's no way you can convince me this is only 145 miles an hour. And I wish that morning recon did not get canceled. But this is a very typical storm or a typical structure you'd see within super typhoons, like we saw with Gani, for example. But this is just something you'd never see in the Atlantic. It doesn't matter where it is, the Western Caribbean, the Gulf of Mexico. This is a Western Pacific type structure. Like you typically don't see pinhole eyes like this within a really monstrous storm in the MDR. I mean, specifically the MDR, and there you see this really strong upper level anticyclone spreading out that divergent counterclockwise flow. Really good spreading out and branching out cirrus clouds. And there you see as well, there is a little bit SAL to the north of the system trying to spread its way around this storm, but it's got a really strong CDO as well, symmetrical CDO within the axis itself. And there you see the pinhole eye there. I believe it's around 11 kilometers wide. There's the really strong inflow, really intense eye wall itself. I mean, this storm is like just an absolute beautiful storm, and there's no way you can convince me this is only 145 miles an hour. Not only that, but we are seeing a very intense amount of lightning continuing around. Obviously the western eye wall itself. I mean, we are seeing a ton of lightning, not only within the eye wall itself, but within the center of the storm itself as well. And this is just showing sign of strengthening here. We are seeing a ton of lightning in the actual eye itself, the low pressure itself. We are seeing eye in the center, which is obviously not typically, you don't see that until you see really intense storms. I mean, with lightning, this is a frequent amount of lightning we are seeing in the center. There is no way this is only 145 miles an hour. It's not one or two strikes, but it is multiple. We are talking over 10 to 20 strikes we are seeing within the center or within the very edge of the eye wall. On the lower end, where we are seeing the lower pressure and the lower pressure as well with the lower wind. But here's a very intense part, of course, the eye wall. And most likely will go through an eye wall replacement cycle within the next few hours, as we are starting to see this kind of convection kind of narrowing its way toward each other like that, and kind of minimizing in its overall radius. And as well, starting to see a really intense amount of convection going on now within the northeast quadrant, around negative 8 degrees Celsius. But this is, of course, a very intense storm as well. Look at the overall CDO we're seeing here. I mean, look how dry that eye is. I mean, that's a very dry part of the eye. And that is something you just typically do not see within a 145 mile system. This is something you see in like 155 plus. Iota did not look like this. Ada does not look like this. Or did not look like this. This storm looks very comparable within the overall, I guess, structure to the Gani. I'm not comparing the wind speeds. I'm just comparing the overall structure and the overall what I've seen with Gani and comparing it to this very intense and strong and symmetrical axis symmetrical CDO. I mean, there's no dryer getting within the system, but look how dry that eye is, though. I mean, that's just an absolute beautiful sight to see within this type of system. I mean, again, there's just no way where you're seeing reds and almost browns, and this is only 145 miles an hour. I mean, that's a really clear pinhole eye with very dry weather and as well, and just no convection whatsoever. This is just a rare sight to see, and there's just no way something like this structure is only 145 miles an hour. So again, here's the overall look now at the National Hurricane Center cone. So of course, a rather kind of limited and restricted, but still rather almost perfectly symmetrical wind field with both the tropical storm and the tropical storm and hurricane current wind extent. The surface winds, of course, likely to start going northwestward and start going now, or kind of more west northwestward, and then obviously as it continues to go out to sea, it's gonna get picked up by an overall trough and start going kind of more basically directly northwest. So we're going to continue to watch out for Bermuda. We have not really mentioned them for a while. However, if we kind of predict the overall track, it's most likely just maybe going to miss Bermuda by a little bit, but considering the overall still going to be a major hurricane, it's most likely going to bring in some effects or maybe significant effects for Bermuda. However, again, we still have very limited information for that, as we still obviously don't know whether it's going to go east, west, or directly into Bermuda as of now. There's been a lot of inconsistency. Here's the overall now look at the intensity guidance, and if you want to get this to a category 5, like I did say, this is most likely, in my opinion, a category 5. Maybe not now, but I think it at least was a category 5 earlier, a few hours ago. I mean, just the structure and everything about that system was amazing. And like I said, you can go all over the place. Multiple professional and actually certified meteorologists are as well questioning the strength that the National Hurricane Center has right now. Because like I said, we have not had a recon data for over 18-ish hours or so. So how can you expect this storm to stay the same strength for 18 hours when it's completely rapidly intensified almost all its life? So it's definitely not going to get upgraded to Category 5 in the postseason or now. However, I'm going to continue to live my life with thinking Sam was a Category 5 hurricane. But again, like I said, there's really not recon support to agree or disagree with that. Nor is there recon data support. This is still the same strength as yesterday. Nor is there recon data support. It is a Category 5 or stronger. However, we will get a better idea when the next recon pass, which is obviously heading its way. But multiple want to have this kind of start weakening at a very slow pace, while some want to have it strengthening. So we're going to see how this goes. It has pretty favorable conditions and conducive conditions, and water-wise, it's actually going to have better conditions. But shear-wise, there is going to be a little bit of obstacles in the far future. So here's the overlook of the shear. So there's a decent amount of shear actually. Let me actually use a different color. There's actually a decent amount of shear in the upper northeast part of this Hurricane Sam. We are seeing around 25 to 30 knots, but I know this is labeled as unfavorable. But for a strong and extremely organized storm like this, it could easily sustain 25 to 30 knots. So that really won't be the leading factor towards it stabilizing off and likely to go into a slow but steady weakening trend. But the actual low pressure itself is still within 5 to 10 knots in the not only lower levels but the upper levels as well. So like I said, still within its best conditions today and most likely into tomorrow. But after that, as it kind of goes a little bit more towards the northwest, there is going to be some shear. But again, the shear really won't be the big thing. There is going to be as well some dry air. But it's just as it kind of starts to go towards the northwest, there's going to be a little bit more shear. And although it can withstand that, there as well is going to be dry air, which will be a little bit hard to withstand. So that's going to be kind of a little factor towards why it's going to most likely go into a weakening trend. But it still has, I'd say, a good day or so before it actually starts weakening. So I don't think it's going to start like weakening as of today. I think if anything, it's still going to be pretty stable in my opinion at 155, 160. Like I said, I still think it could very well be a Category 5 today or right now itself. But like maybe tonight, it most likely will be 150, 155. And all those not even 150, 155 now. Like I said, I still think the National Hurricane Center, ASCAP, AT, all those computer models and overall as well information from Recon, I feel like they're really underestimating this. We're not data from Recon, but I think the National Hurricane Center itself is underestimating this because of the lack of Recon. I really hope Recon can help us get a better and clear idea. Again, I most likely will have this video out before Recon or maybe after. Again, I'm recording this a little bit early. So, but like I said, I really think this is stronger than what it is now. And I think 99% of people can at least agree it's over 145. And I know a rather good amount as well are agreeing with 160. But ocean heat content wise, it'll go to a little bit warmer and higher end ocean heat content values of around 75 to 100 meters of 80-degree Fahrenheit water. So definitely going to most likely continue to go into those very favorable conditions. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys later.